Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite stocks that we cover on the channel. We actually just did a deep dive analysis on this company about a week ago, and since then they've come out with very impressive Q2 results. So I wanted to cover that in this video. The company name is none other than Peak Fintech Group. And in addition to earnings, there's a couple of other articles I wanted to address in this video. Now, before we get into it, you guys, please take a second to smash the like button. It really helps out the channel and myself in a huge way. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And let me know in the comment section below what you think about Peak, if you're currently holding shares, and what your thoughts were on their Q2 numbers. Now, without further ado, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Today we're going to give a quick update on Peak Fintech Group. Now we just came out with a video on PKK about a week ago on the channel. This company is getting a lot of traction. There's a lot of people that are really excited about what Peak Fintech is really trying to do with their lending platform in China. And since our last update on this company, they actually came out with Q2 results on Thursday of last week, so August 26th. So I wanted to get a quick update out regarding that earnings report and correct a couple of things that were brought to my attention from the last video that I put out on PKK. So if we look at the chart here, this is as of close on Monday, August 30th. They pulled back 23 cents or about 2.2% on the day. You can see this huge run up, and we really talked about this in my last video. So this was a company that was trading below $5 back in the middle of July. They're now trading over $10. They actually touched the $11 price point on intraday highs over the last week. And the market cap on this guy is sitting right around $800 million Canadian. Now that's one of the things I wanted to correct since my last video, so we're going to talk about that in a second here. But the company actually did a reverse split, so I had my number of shares outstanding essentially doubled in my last release on this company. And that's exactly what this article, which came out on July 22nd, really addresses. So this was my bad, and thanks to one of my viewers, Mike, who actually called me out on this. So as you can see in this press release, Peak formerly had just about 161 million common shares. That's the number that I was using in my last video to calculate their market cap. And you can see what they've actually done is a share consolidation on a 2-to-1 basis. So essentially they've cut their share count in half, and they now have 80.5 million common shares on a post-consolidation basis. So if you take this new number of shares outstanding, you multiply it by the 1043 share price that we saw on Monday's close, you get a market cap on PKK of $839,408,000 Canadian, which essentially makes this company twice as attractive as the numbers that I put forward in my video last week. Now this was an oversight on my part, so I want to thank Mike for calling this to my attention. There were a number of other people in the comment section that called me out on this, and this is exactly why I like this platform, because there are things that I'm going to miss just like every other investor out there, and this was definitely a big one. So keep that new number of about $840 million in terms of market cap in mind as we now start to look at their Q2 results here, because the ratios are really quite astonishing when we're starting to look at their full year revenue guidance and some of those 22, 23, and 24 projections that Peak had put out in our last video. So here's the actual Q2 results, which came out again on Thursday of last week, August 26th. A number of really key milestones the company was able to deliver on. And honestly, I feel like Peak Fintech is really starting to put their foot on the gas here, you guys, as you're going to see with some of these highlights. So total revenue came in at just about $31 million for the 3-month period. EBITDA came in at 1.2. And the big one here, you guys, their first ever positive net income for a quarter of $296,071. Now this positive net income is really a key milestone or turning point for any company. And it's super exciting to see that Peak is now really starting to turn that corner and become profitable and add to their overall cash position, hopefully each and every quarter moving forward. And that's exactly the story they tell in this chart below. You can see they put up a loss of nearly $1 million in Q3 of last year, $3.2 million in the last quarter, Q4 of 2020, loss of about $400,000 in Q1 of 2021, and here's this key pivot to positive net income of $296,000 like we just talked about in Q2. Now, in addition to that, you can see the revenue is pretty much flatlined over the last couple of quarters, right around that $15 million mark. That's now doubled up to just over $30.6 million in Q2. So again, the team at PKK here is really starting to put their foot on the gas and deliver on those ambitious revenue guidance goals that they laid out in our last video. Now, in terms of the operational highlights here, you guys, a number of big ones that we didn't cover in the last video as well. Again, I would highly encourage you to take a deeper look at these. We probably will do a deep dive analysis on some of this stuff as it closes in the next couple of months. But they integrated their China UnionPay network. They created and set up their first virtual bank accounts on their Business Hub platform. They participated in a major event called the 618 Shopping Festival or 618 Shopping Festival with nearly 800 transactions financed worth approximately $200 million. So massive event for this company to be a part of. They opened a pair of new offices in China and they created 2 new subsidiaries. One that's focused on clean tech, oil and gas management, and the other that's really focused on the insurance service industry or vertical. So as we can see, they're continuing to add spokes to their hub and spoke model and continuing to service their clients in more and more unique and creative ways to really take care of these businesses, whether it's the initial lending, distribution, supply chain, transportation, or now even insurance. Now, the other thing I wanted to point out here that was interesting, I was expecting to see them raise their actual revenue guidance for the year. Now, that being said, Peak has decided to keep their outlook consistent with what they had put forward previously. So as of right now, they're guiding to $104 million in top line revenue for 2021 with $12.5 million in EBITDA and $5.6 million in positive net income for the fiscal year. However, that being said, the company is still expecting to revise this guidance. I would expect that would be an upward revision for sure, based on the closing of their pending acquisition of Cubular Inc. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this next article. Mike, again, had called this out in his email to me and said exactly how key or crucial this acquisition really is for Peak's business model moving forward, specifically in relation to expansion outside of China. So to wrap things up here in terms of earnings report, phenomenal top line revenue growth, guys. Huge milestone in terms of positive net income for the first time in the company's history, and a huge congrats to management and the leadership team at Peak for executing at such a high level in Q2 and really in the first half of fiscal 2021. So this is actually the article talking about this acquisition of the AI company Cubular Inc. And as they call out in the title here, this really paves the way for Peak's expansion into North America. So this article came out on August 16th, and they've actually acquired 100% interest in all of the shares outstanding for Cubular Incorporated, also known as Cubular. Now, what's interesting about this, and for those of you who follow Peak Fintech, Cubular is actually the technology or the AI software that this company has really leveraged and deployed in China in order to make their lending platform so effective and profitable. So by acquiring this company outright, Peak has now got the ability to leverage this Cubular solution for companies anywhere in the world, including North America. And that's exactly what the CEO, Johnson Joseph, talks about in this comment here. So this acquisition is without a doubt the most important transaction in the entire company's history. It not only gives us complete autonomy on the technology that's responsible for 90% of the company's revenue. That's that profitability that I just talked about. But just as important, it allows us to begin the next phase of our vision for the Business Hub, which is really to create that global ecosystem of businesses and financial institutions where analytics and AI are used to connect business more efficiently. So Peak has really now broadened their horizons, and their goal is to take elements of their operations in China, such as the ability to control the flow of funds, help people get paid, and integrate this into Cubular's ecosystem to create a very comparable or similar model here in North America. And this acquisition and expansion into North America is exactly what's allowing Peak to revise their revenue forecasts for 2021 and sequential years moving forward. So in terms of the specifics around the deal, they paid $1 million in cash and 11 million 133,000 common shares of Peak. So based on today's share price, all in, this was about $120 to $125 million acquisition. So very major purchase for PKK. But again, it really sets them up perfectly for future expansion and global opportunities for their business hub lending solution. So to wrap things up here today, you guys, again, I could not be more bullish on this company. I feel like they've got a really good thing going in China. They now have the ability to launch this or scale this in North America and eventually globally. They put up a fantastic quarter. Q2 numbers came in exactly as expected, or where the company's leadership team said they would, and they were able to put up their first quarter of positive net income, which is a massive milestone for this company. Now, another thing that was brought up based on my last video was some investors' apprehension to really get involved with a lot of these Chinese companies based on the government intervention or crackdown that we've seen with some of the big tech giants like Alibaba. Now, the nice thing with Peak Fintech is because this is a business-to-business platform and because they serve so many small clients, they really aren't considered in the same league as a lot of those tech giants. And as a result, I personally feel, along with a number of other investors, that this company isn't on the government's radar at this point in time, because it really does lead to increased competition by helping a lot of these small businesses scale and compete with some of those larger conglomerate type of companies. So although government intervention is definitely one thing you do need to keep in mind, I think at this point in time, Peak is safe and they're essentially flying under the radar based on their current business operations. Now, for full transparency here, you guys, I currently do not own any shares in PKK. This is one that I'm definitely kicking myself for. It is on my buy list right now, but I haven't pulled the trigger. I'm going to be looking to add some shares as I start to take profits on some of my existing option strategies. If and when I do decide to pull the trigger, I'll keep you guys posted. As always, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below on what you thought about Peak's Q2 results. Let me know if you're currently holding shares, and if so, what your average cost was, and what you think about their future growth prospects based on this Cubular acquisition and North American expansion. Now, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And if you're still watching at this point, hopefully you found some value, so make sure you smash that like button. It really does help get this content to other people like yourself who may find value. That's it for today, you guys. Thanks so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.